Oh, finally, guys. Hi.
Hello.
So we are finally on. So, fail to go live. Please go again. Live. Okay. Okay, guys. Can you see us? Oh yes, CJ. Awesome. Hi, Camilla. Hi, Eileen. Hi, Helena. Meow. Yes. Okay. So just checking. Are we live? Can you see us? Can you hear us? Is it all good? Okay, cool. I'm seeing it refresh here. Yes.
Good.
We are officially live, man, guys. That was an interesting experience. So, for those of you who are here, thank you so much for staying with us and for being patient and for just sending us the good vibes from wherever you are in the world. So, with that nice for us kind of early morning adrenaline rush, let's just take a moment to settle in together. So, wherever you are in the world, just allow a few breaths into your belly. And with the exhale, relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your heart, relaxing your belly, and just sinking into wherever you are right now in this moment. And with that, we want to check in with you where you're tuning in from, because we are here a beautiful morning on the island of Kauai. And if you're in Europe, you'll be already in your kind of late evening time. If you're in Australia, it's kind of already tomorrow, I think. We're a bit behind over here. But please let us know in the chat. Oh, they're so supportive. That's so nice. Thanks, guys. We can really feel you. Please write in the chat where you're tuning in from and also what you are the most grateful for right now, so you can see. I'm grateful for that this finally worked out. We had to reset everything and just set up a totally new webinar. For some reason, just Google wouldn't let us start the broadcast. So we just presumed that this would give time for even more people to join. So hopefully this all worked out for the best. So CJ is grateful for sunshine and love. Let's see.
People
we have
tuning in from all over.
Meowy cat. Awesome. Grateful for being here now. The Netherlands, Dublin, The Hague, Belgium, Germany, Sweden.
I saw Texas. I saw Boulder.
Yeah, Texas,
Or Colorado.
Boulder. Awesome. Cool. That's so nice. Grateful for being here. New Jersey, the USA. Awesome.
Nice.
Northern California. Wow, we have such a cool international crowd here. Nice, nice. Ibiza. Oh, cool. Nice. One of my favorite islands in the world. Enjoy, Rike. That's so nice. Amsterdam. Okay, cool. So we have a beautifully international crowd. Berlin, Germany. Yes, okay. So I'm going to turn away from the chat for a moment. We might read some things later. Okay, cool. Amber, Glastonbury. Oh, beautiful sacred land in Glastonbury. So we have some PowerPoints connected with this live stream. So with that, we can just take a moment to tune into this feeling of being connected through the globe and through the energy field that we all share, that we're all a part of. So if you want to visualize that as little points of light spread out across the globe, then just tune into that feeling of being connected, so that even though we are sitting individually or in our own living room or balcony or wherever you are, then we're all connected through this web of love and consciousness that we share. So with that being said, warmly welcome. So I am Ronja Sebastian and I'm sitting next to Ryan Lee Brown. We are here on the island of Kauai in Hawaii. And you might be hearing some roosters or some birds or some cats in the background because there's a lot of nature happening around here. And so today's topic is empowered living. And empowered living is something that in a perfect potential world, then we all just come into this world and we feel empowered right from the start. But the setup of this realm that we're playing in is that of remembering who we truly are. So we come into this life kind of a little bit forgetting who we are, so that we can have the experience of discovery and creation and exploration and learning. So we are going to share with you some of the keys that we have found to live an empowered life, because well, I can just speak for myself. Like, I did not used to feel empowered all the time from the start. I used to have a lot of fears and insecurities and limiting beliefs. And for many years, I was stuck in a roller coaster of depression and excitement, and felt suicidal for many years, and just had a lot of dreams and things that I wanted to create. But for the most part felt very, very held back by limiting beliefs. Like, the desire to create something, and then there's the belief saying, oh no, you can't do that, or what if that doesn't work out, or you're not good enough or qualified enough or beautiful enough or fill in the blank, whatever, enough to do that. And then we have this like 1 foot on the gas and 1 foot on the brake at the same time, which creates a lot of friction and a lot of inner turmoil and a feeling of being stuck and in resistance. So maybe you recognize this for yourself. So yes, we are going to share some keys for how to shift this. And so one of the fundamental understandings for empowered living is the realization, the really deep realization, that lack does not exist and cannot exist. So yeah, I'm gonna hand it over to you, Ryan, just to share with that.
Cool. Thank you, Ronja. Yeah, good to be here. So as Ronja was saying, one of the fundamental aspects of living from an empowered space is understanding the context, or settling into the understanding that lack cannot exist. And so there's a lot of layers to that. And I actually want to zoom back a little bit as well, because sometimes simply having context about something really helps shape our experience of life. So having a certain context for life helps us shape our experience. And so when I was sitting here, I was like, okay, an empowered living. What is empowered living? Like, there's so many aspects to empowered living. You know, there's tips, there's techniques, there's manifestation, there's beingness. And it really, empowered living to me is that I'm in the driver's seat, so to speak. Like, I'm in control. Like, I'm guiding the flow of my life, as opposed to I'm trying to navigate circumstances. Like, growing up, I absolutely was taught, like most of us were in the society, that there's this external world we're learning to navigate. And like, very early we learn, if we do something, we don't get a positive response, and if we do something else, we get a positive response. And so very quickly our behavior is shaped to like navigate circumstances. And so we've learned to take our cue, so to speak, to gauge who we are and how we are, our worthiness, our value, our success, by what these circumstances look like. And so I want to say one of the fundamental keys to empowered living is to start to extract our focus from the circumstances, and instead focus more on what we want. And that's tapping into the creation ability that we are. Because when we're looking at our circumstances, we've been taught to live like almost backwards. Like, that we're putting the cart before the horse, using that analogy. Because if we're looking at our circumstances, say I'm looking at my bank account and I'm like, wow, say if there was not a lot of money in there, and then I can define that any way I want. But collectively I might be like, wow, there's not a lot of money in there. I guess I don't feel very, like, man, I'm not very successful. Like, maybe like my partner won't be excited about this. My parents won't approve of me. And so then I gauge how I feel based on my circumstance. And then I feel kind of bad. And then I might see something else, and I might get fired from my job. And then I'm like, oh man, I'm a total loser. And then things start to snowball, and then it snowballs. However, if I start to extract my focus on the circumstances and choose to feel how I want to feel, and realize that life actually takes its cue from me. It's the vibrational state of being that life then shapes itself around. It's, as opposed to us being a little pawn in a big world, we're actually the star in our own reality TV show. We're the star in our own movie. And life is always looking at us. The director of life is always looking at us and being like, oh, what do they want today? And life takes its cue from our state of being, meaning like our vibrational, our attitude, basically. And then it cues up this situations and circumstances around that. So back to the lack.
Yes.
So, okay. So one of the primary misconceptions that our civilization currently has is this thing called lack, is that there's not enough. If you have something or if something happens, then you're going to limit my ability to be happy. If you don't date me and you break up with me or you leave me, then I'm not going to be happy. If I don't get that job, I'm not going to be happy. If I don't have money, I'm not going to be happy. If my parents don't approve and say I'm a good little boy, I'm not going to be happy. And that's actually the one thing in this universe that's impossible, this idea of lack, because there's always an abundance of everything. And so I think the audience is somewhat familiar with this. So I just want to say, to kind of get this point home, for me this is really helpful, that you could say, well, if I don't have enough money, then I don't have enough money. And I want to say, no, you're having an abundance of the experience of I don't have enough money. Or you're having an abundance of the experience of I'm nervous. I don't know where I'm going to live. I don't have enough food. So there's always an abundance of an experience. And the experience we have is up to us.
And so with this, we can see that even the experience of perceived lack confirms abundance. So taking the example of the not enough money experience, for example. So if you are, so this again is about how life takes its cues from us for what to deliver into our experience. So for example, if you are having the experience, I don't have enough money, then from the perspective of infinity, from the perspective of life itself, life kind of listens to that and says, okay, well, there is plenty of money in the world, there's plenty of money to be experienced, but this guy is saying that he wants to have the experience of not enough money. So from abundance, life then delivers to you an experience of lack of money, but it's still a reflection of the total abundance and possibilities of life. You're completely supported in your lack belief, and life reflects that to you. Another example is the other evening I was in a women's circle here on the island, and one of the women was talking about her experience with men, and she was saying to us in the circle, she said, you know, and there are really not many conscious men out there. There are really few awake and clear conscious men. And she was talking about this as if it was the truth. And I said to her, I have to call you on this because I do not share your experience. This might be true from within your view of the world and what you're perceiving, so life is reflecting that. But I am experiencing that there is a lot of beautiful, awake, conscious, clear, loving men, and they show up in abundance in my life because that's what I believe, and that's what life keeps on reflecting to me. One of them sitting next to me here. So it's in terms of both, you know, intimate partners as well as friends, and just really generally awesome men. And she said, oh, but it's not just me, it's also these other women having the same. It seems like everyone is having the same experience. And I said, yes, that makes perfect sense, because if you are holding a very fixed point of view of something, a very fixed vibrational stance, then life will reflect that to you in terms of other people who share the same experience, other people who resonate with that and who can co-agree. And then it seems like, because it's being confirmed by other people, confirming the lack of, say, good men out there, it seems like that's the reality, but that's just a reflection of life's total abundance, saying, well, there are plenty of amazing men over here, but she's saying very clearly that she wants to have the experience of not many conscious men in her life. So that's what's being delivered. And this, of course, can lead to potential, you know, self-judgment and those kind of things. But this is actually really good news, because this means that there are endless possibilities for experience. So there is really no limitation to infinity and what we can experience. So the way to shift this is to begin to really tune into, what do you say to life? What do you proclaim to be true? What are you vibrating as, so to speak? And then watch how life shapes itself around that. And there might be a bit of a time gap, or there is pretty much always a bit of a time gap between you shifting into a new frequency and a new belief that you are living from, and it actually manifesting physically, so to speak, in your life. But this is something that, if you haven't noticed already, once you become really clear and conscious about what you are sending out in terms of your feelings, your words, your actions, and your thoughts, then you'll start noticing how life is so responsive to our inner state of being and what we believe about it.
Yes, beautiful.
So just let us know if that makes sense so far. So we'll just pop and look at the chat every now and then. And also, we have quite a lot of pre-submitted questions that we're going to go into a bit later. But if you have any question pop up, we're probably not going to take that at the moment, but in the chat, you can mark it as a question, and then it will show up red, and it will kind of pile up for us so we can very easily find it. So if a question pops up for you at any point, feel free to just mark it as a question. Next to the chat box, you can see that you can mark it as a question, and then we will get back to you. We may or may not get to everyone, but feel free to ask questions, especially if you feel that it's something that would be relevant for more people. So Lisa says, makes perfect sense. Cool, so you're all on board. So one of the fundamental understandings that is really important to realize when it comes to empowered living and manifestation is the realization that whatever you are wanting, whatever you think that you want, it usually comes down to a feeling, pretty much always comes down to a feeling. So you might think that it's something external, like a job or a partner or a whatever, but if you extract from that what the essence feeling is from that, realizing that it's about the feeling, not the form, and then the way to shift into a reality where that actually shows up physically is to shift into the feeling state, regardless of how things are showing up in your circumstance. Because when you shift into the feeling state of that already being there, or that feeling of love or the feeling of abundance already being there, then life begins to orchestrate things to fill in the gap, so to speak.
And I want to say, this is the point of life. Like, this is how life works. So as opposed to like us learning these little techniques or something, or this perspective, which is kind of like weird and different and like outside of the norm, on one sense, yeah, maybe it is, even though this is becoming more and more common language for people to speak about. But this is how life works. And I think when we start to settle into that perspective about life, we then allow it to happen much more. So as opposed to, like I was saying, we're living in this separate world where we have to struggle to do things, life is utterly on our side. Like, life is just waiting to deliver what we want. We're living in a universe of abundance. And part of the gift of this is that not only are we just little puppets, say, of our higher self, and we're just kind of going along, part of the gift of this earth experiment, this earth school we're in, is that we're in a way learning to stand on our own 2 feet, to walk tall, really. And we're learning our co-creatorship is another buzzword out there, but we're learning that, wow, we are empowered, we are connected to all things. Everything is energy, everything is consciousness. So then I am everything, and then we start flowing into this, these universal truths. An analogy that came up for me this morning when I was thinking about this was, it's like we have a car, and we'll just say the car is our vehicle of consciousness. And at first, us as humans, we look at this car and we're like, well, what is this thing for? What is it? Oh, you know what? This is to sit on top of, and we get a better view of our surroundings. That's what a car is for. Let's sit on top of it. And we tell, hey, this is what a car is for. And then a bunch of people start sitting on top of the car. And then eventually, after doing that for a while, they realize, oh my gosh, if we pull this little thing, we can go inside. Cool. And then, no, this is for shelter. That's what it's for. This is for shelter.
To live in
and sleep in. Yeah. And then eventually we see, the steering wheel turns those wheels, et cetera, et cetera. And then we realize we can turn it on. And then as evolution happens, we realize we learn more about the mechanics of this physical vehicle of consciousness. That, oh, there's an engine, it can start. Then, oh, if you press that thing, it can kind of go. Wow, then what are we supposed to do? Well, I don't know. We can explore the city. If you go left, if you go right, if you go to this, and we're asking each other, and when we grow up, we're learning about the people who went in front of us. Well, what are we supposed to do with a car? And like, oh my gosh, I've done this for like my whole life. This is what a car is for. You go around the block and around the block and around the block, and you just say hi to your friends, and you do whatever, okay? And then we think we're supposed to figure out how to drive this vehicle of consciousness. The fundamental shift that's happening on the planet now is to realize we don't need to figure out, first of all, how to drive this car, what to do with this car, or where to go with this car, where to go with our life, what to do with our life, how to get to where we want to go in our life. We're actually chauffeured. we've incarnated, we're in this life, and we actually have a chauffeur to drive us around, and that's our higher self, you could say, in this analogy. So really all we need to do is to sit in the passenger seat and just get clear on what we want vibrationally. And that's basically saying, James, take me to that happy place, that happy restaurant. And James is like, my higher self is named James, by the way. Just kidding. And it's like, right, no problem, Ryan. And it's looking at me to get the GPS coordinates. It's looking at my vibrational state. You want happy place. You don't want the stress of, I hope I find the happy place or else my life's going to suck, because then it's going to give me more of that feeling. And so all I really need to do is to get clear on what I want, make the request, so to speak, and then I get driven there. And that's basically the same analogy of letting life's circumstances flow, take shape, letting the synchronicities of life take shape. And then we start to realize more and more that life shapes itself around us. And like Ronja was saying, a key part of this is how we define any given situation. Like for instance, with men, if based on what we've heard, based on what we see in movies, we're like, you know what, there's not a lot of conscious men.
Or conscious women.
Or conscious women, you know, and the women that are conscious are just like so into their mission that they don't have time for me, or whatever my story might be. And again, then we're basically then choosing to live in a certain vibrational domain, a certain stratosphere, or like there's bad people out there, I could get hurt. So when I'm walking down the street in a certain regard, I'm agreeing to that collective playing field. Like there's a lot of little vibrational domains, or say playing fields, playgrounds within this collective shared consensus reality. And so depending on my belief system and what I believe is true about life, I then become a vibrational match for, say, a victim and aggressor conflict. And walking down the same street, there could be somebody else who's choosing to believe life is so on my side. Oh my gosh, I'm clear. Life is like the clouds are parting. Things just get delivered to me. It all works out so well. Then they're in that vibrational domain. And say the aggressor, in a way, just doesn't even see. It's like almost like just passes that person by in their glance. And then on a higher self level, oh, there's someone who's agreeing to this dynamic. Let me go approach them. Where somebody else, if there's another person walking down the street who's in a happy vibrational state as well, they're like, oh, there's somebody who resonates with me, and we just get drawn to each other. And so I want to like sort of share this context to offer whatever you need to do, whether it's like books, there's so many teachings nowadays to help shift your paradigm to believing more that this actually is the point of life. Because the more we can do that, the more we can relax and rest into this, and then trust life to flow in this way.
And so, in other words, we can have the same shared experience, so to speak, but have a completely different internal experience of it. It's almost like it seems like we're all living in the same world and that we're all sharing one reality, but it's actually more accurate to describe it as that it's like we're tuned into different frequencies, like we're tuned into different radio channels. And depending on which frequency you're tuned into, the music you hear, the life experiences you get will be vastly different. So we can be in the same party, two people together, but have a completely different experience depending on our inner state of being and how life orchestrates the meetings and the situations and being at the right place at the right time, or always getting stuck in traffic, or whatever it is that it's really our inner state of being that is pulling into our life our experiences, and we only have access to the kind of life experiences to which we are a vibrational match. And so what I want to move into now is a little bit about emotions and what that is. Because life takes its cues from not so much what we say always, but what we are feeling, what we are being. Because you might affirm to the universe, I am abundant, I have plenty of money, or something like that. But if internally you feel like you're lacking, internally you feel as if you are unworthy, then the emanation of your emotions will be so much stronger than your words that you put on top. So understanding emotion is one of the key fundamental things to empowered living. And so if for a moment we just scrap the whole idea of there being different kinds of emotions like jealousy or anger or sadness or joy or anything like that, and we just see it as one sliding scale from openness to contraction, from love to fear, or from alignment to out of alignment. And so the perspective of life itself and of our higher self are always rested in a state of trust and possibilities and abundance and love and joy. And so when we are feeling joyous and abundant and loving and expansive, that is an indication from our higher self to our personally asserted self that what we are believing and feeling in that moment is in alignment with existence, is in alignment with truth. And when we are having an experience of feeling contracted, or like things are lacking, or this shouldn't be happening, or resistance, that feels crappy inside us, that feels bad inside us, because that is an indication that what we are believing about the situation, our perspective, is out of alignment with truth. It's out of alignment with the way our higher self sees it. So for example, if you have the thought, I'm not good enough, or people won't love me, that feels bad because it's out of alignment with how life itself sees you, which is a perspective of complete acceptance, love, abundance, and appreciation at all times. And the thought, I am beautiful and I'm a magnificent miracle and I'm, consciousness projected through a human interface and it's fucking epic what is happening here, that feels amazing in your body and in your emotions, because that is in alignment or in close alignment with the perspective of life itself. So in this way, we can see that there is actually no such thing as negative emotions or negative experiences. There are simply out of alignment perspectives, if that makes sense. So does that make sense so far? Anything from the chat we should take?
Yeah, beautiful. I want to add on to that while she's checking the chat, that a way to look at this can be communication. And this is how we receive our inner guidance. When Ronja's talking about emotions in the scale of feeling expansion or feeling contraction, it's communication, say, with our higher self. That a way to look at this is our body mind, our personality mind, our identity mind isn't designed to see on the multiverse that we live in, these multidimensional realities, which is another name for that is future. Our mind is not designed to figure out what we're going to do in 2 years, what we're going to do for our career, where we're going to live, who we're going to marry. However, society says you should figure all these things out. And our mind's like, I don't know how to see those things. So let me grasp what I can see. And those are circumstances. So let me quickly try to navigate and shape my circumstances and control my circumstances in a way that I think will get me what I want. And so what the thing is, our higher self, the bigger aspect of ourself, the non-physical aspect of ourself, because our identity, our personality is such the small tip of an iceberg. We are these majestic, magical, huge, expansive beings. And in our non-physical aspect, it's obvious everything is connected. We're obvious that love is this foundation, this canvas that life is playing upon. And so from our higher self perspective, it sees on these multidimensional levels. It's sitting outside of time and space enough. It can see these timelines. It can orchestrate things. 3 days from now, you're going to meet this person from over there. And it can coordinate these synchronicities. So when we can align in that way, life can flow. That's like the chauffeur analogy. And so another analogy is like when we're little kids, you might have played the game of being blindfolded. And when, like, say someone's blindfolded and then they're trying to find an object in the room, and if they're going in the wrong direction, their friends say, hey, you're getting colder. And if you're going in the right direction, oh, you're getting warmer. Oh, you're getting hotter. Oh, you're getting hotter. And you find what you're looking for. Then that's the same way that higher self is communicating with us. And so this is the built-in communication system, which most people have forgotten about. But society and civilization is getting to the place where now we're starting to remember and being able to tune into these more refined frequencies. So what that is we're getting hotter, we're getting warmer. Expansion, we're in alignment. We're getting colder, we're going in the wrong direction, so to speak. We're going a little off track, is contraction. Oh, you're getting colder, you're getting colder. So when we're feeling bad, regardless of the negative emotion, we're feeling sad, we're feeling depressed, we're feeling anxious, we're feeling fearful, we're feeling not good enough. All of those things, as familiar as they might be to you, just zoom out enough to be like, oh, this is all in the genre of feeling bad. So if that's the case, and my higher self is whispering to me saying, oh, beautiful one, the way you're seeing that situation, the way you're defining the fact that you just got broken up with and that you're thinking you're a loser and maybe you're broken and you'll never actually find someone to meet, you'll never actually find love, from a life perspective, is saying, oh, that is so not true. And it's saying, oh, dear one, that's so not true. The path you're going down in your thoughts is going off course. So let's try to help course correct you by giving you a contraction. However, we've been misunderstanding what these negative emotions are for so long that we just keep snowballing in that direction. So I'm going to pause there before I get into the next piece and just see if Ronja wants to chime in or what direction she wants to go.
I just wanted to say that, like Ilse is saying here in the chat, she says, oh, beautiful people, it makes so much sense and resonates through my whole body. Thank you, thank you. So that is an indication of whatever you're feeling in this moment is like higher self saying, yes, you're on the right track. Yes, you're on it, girl. This is perfect. And Andreas is loving it. Makes more sense than anything. So that's just a beautiful indication of that alignment.
And I have to just throw in, we might not get into much detail on this, but also that the contraction or expansion, the cold, getting colder, getting warmer, isn't about the circumstances, it's how we're perceiving a situation. It's how we're defining a circumstance is what's in or out of alignment. It's not what we're doing that's in and out of alignment, that the going to this party is in and out of alignment. It's how we're defining things.
Yes.
And there was a question on here that says, like, from Carmen, like, there are many situations, days that I don't know, like I don't feel what I want. So what to do when you don't feel what you want? And that's another bigger topic also. But you can always feel what you want. And so in this perspective, this is empowered living, is when you realize that it's your choice how you perceive, how you define whatever you're feeling. So sometimes you could say, oh my gosh, I'm in this situation, someone yelling at me, my chest is contracted, I feel a pit of like nauseousness in my stomach. You can consider those sensations just like a circumstance. It's up to you how you define that. If you define that as, oh my gosh, there's danger, I'm gonna get hurt, or I'm such a loser and I feel if I'm nauseous now, I'm never, gosh, I should be better than this. I've been on the spiritual path for 10 years and I still get triggered like this. Then the way we're perceiving these events, these circumstances, even if they're sensations in our body, higher self is saying, hey, you're going a little off track. You're going outside of how life, the universe, and everything sees that situation. So in those scenarios, instead of trying to change how you're feeling on more of a sensation level, you could try change how you're thinking about how you're feeling. So how you're feeling about how you're feeling is where the empowerment comes in.
Oh, I want to come in with an example from my own life from just a few days ago. So we just had a pretty powerful full moon here on Kauai the other day, and 2 days ago, and we were staying out with a group of women in the forest, and we were sleeping underneath this giant ancient tree, and it was so beautiful, and it was just a magnificent experience. The days leading up to that, for about 3 days, I had quite an intense feeling of sadness and a lot of emotion moving through my system, moving through my body. And so I just want to say, in general, my state of being for like 95% of the time is very joyous. I feel very happy almost all the time. To a large extent through understanding the emotional guidance system and also finding the awareness space that is rested and untouched no matter what happens in the emotional sphere and in the circumstances. So anyway, leading up to the full moon, I had been experiencing a lot of intense emotions, and I posted on Facebook and on my website a few days ago about feeling waves of sadness moving through, like this ocean of sadness, and like tears were streaming down my face and just like this gentle rain washing. And so in this instance, sometimes I might feel sad because of something seemingly, but this really had no story attached to it whatsoever. It was just a feeling of full body sadness. And so previously I might have gone in with contraction and analysis and try and figure out, why am I feeling this, and why am I not feeling happy, and what's wrong with me, and how can I shift this? And all of that feels contracted. And the reason why it feels contracted is because my perspective about the sadness is out of alignment, because I'm saying sadness is wrong. I shouldn't be feeling like this. Why am I feeling like this? And it's the resistance to the emotion that creates the contraction, not the emotion itself. And so when I can feel the sadness as just pure sensation, it's like a gentle breeze moving through, like a rain or like a waterfall washing through, without any resistance to it, there's actually such a sweetness to the sadness. And so what I did with this was that I just did not even go into trying to understand why, but just recognizing, okay, this is already here. Apparently life itself has already accepted this emotion, otherwise it wouldn't be here. So that's another key part, that acceptance is already here always. So tuning in with that acceptance, I could just allow it, and there was such a joy in the sadness, there was such a sweetness in the sadness, which is an indication that that state of openness and acceptance is in alignment with how life itself sees it. And so if we don't label certain emotions as negative, but just allow it to pass like the weather, sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it rains, and then there's a new freshness to nature, that all of it can coexist and be here, then life can flow very easily and effortlessly. And so this is something that if you are quite like an emotional person, and I think this is true for pretty much every woman, at least, you know, depending on our cycle and where we are in the moon and moon time and all of that stuff, just to allow the full spectrum of emotion without resistance, and find that there is an inherent sweetness and bliss even in things like sadness and anger.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so here's like a tip, practical perhaps application of what we're talking about. So say you find yourself in an emotional state, or say you find yourself triggered for what, regardless of whatever circumstances around. Maybe this specific thing is totally triggering me, and I feel this way about that or regarding this. Or it's like Ronja was saying, there was nothing to point her finger at, but there was just this overall feeling. So in that moment, you can say, okay, how am I feeling about what I'm feeling? Like, I'm feeling this thing, and if you're feeling like it's cloudy, you're feeling contracted and tunnel visioned and kind of like a little more of a doomsday scenario, you can be like, oh, okay. So you could try out different perspectives. Like, okay, well, I guess if I'm contracted about this, I might be perceiving it wrong. Like, I should get over this, or if I'm feeling bad like this, I mean, heck, I know how the law of attraction works on the surface. This is a misconception. Then I need to quickly get out of this bad feeling so that I can attract what I want. And so we're in such resistance about
And
like what is, and then stressing out. And then if you're like, wait, I'm stressing out, I'm in resistance, that's another version of contraction. Okay, now even this way of thinking about it is still off track. And so I'm like, okay, well, if thinking this is wrong and I shouldn't be this way and all that's stressful, that's like higher self saying, hey, the way you're thinking about it's cold. So we're trying out different things. Well, okay, well, what if, oh, you know what? Like, gosh, I've lived as a human. We have so many little traumas throughout our life when we're growing up, and we don't have these perspectives to understand life and life's experiences. So maybe this emotion coming through me is more like an unwinding of an existing tension that my body's been holding for a while. And as my consciousness is relaxing and I'm expanding, there's almost like the psychic gravity, the weight is off. So now these contractions, these tensions in the body can then be released to let go. I feel more tingles, I feel more expansive. So me feeling emotionally bad and contracted right now is actually an indication that I'm progressing. Wow, I feel like, I don't know if that's true, but if that were true, I'd feel good about it. Okay, hint, there's a hint in there. You're feeling good about it. And so I want to say then higher self is saying, yeah, good. The way you're perceiving this right now is more accurate, is more in the direction of what's true from this bigger life God perspective.
Just want to say, Henry's saying, you just described my current situation, Ryan. Thank you.
Beautiful.
And then he says, it feels like a personal session. Jennifer says it does. Okay, wonderful.
Well, totally. We're in each of your living rooms, bedrooms, wherever you are.
Just want to say hi, Mom. I see my mother is on this call.
Oh, beautiful.
That's nice.
Hi, Mom.
Beautiful. Thanks for giving birth to me and everything. So yes, let's see if there's anything else we want to say here. No, I think it's mostly just life is our party. Exactly, ladies. Yes. Yes. Wonderful. Okay, cool. So Barbara says, I can relate to the story you told, Ronja. Last week I had 3 days of very intense fear that took over my body completely. I was not able to stay conscious about it. It felt like I was drowning completely. And at that point, I started condemning myself. Yeah, so in that moment, a couple of things. So first of all, recognize that whatever you experiencing is already accepted by existence itself, otherwise it wouldn't be here. So it's not about trying to accept, but just aligning with the acceptance that is already present, always here. And so releasing the resistance to the emotion and in a way surrendering. And I recognize this feeling of drowning and of falling, and it's usually the contraction and the resistance to it that is the scary part, because when we can actually relax into that, then falling into that experience can actually be a beautiful experience of surrendering. And secondly, when the resistance has been released, is to check in with yourself. What is the belief underneath this? Very often there is a belief underneath the feeling. So, for example, if you have a breakup and your partner leaves you, then the contracted feeling you're experiencing has nothing to do with your partner leaving or the breakup, but it's about how you define that event. If you define it as though this means that now I am lacking love, that makes you feel bad because that perspective of you lacking love because of a partner leaving is not true. Whereas if partner leaves, same event, and you have the belief about this that, oh my God, this is life just working out perfectly and I can't wait to see what comes next, that feels wonderful because that is in alignment with the truth and abundance of life. So a question here is, through which belief in lack am I filtering the event or the experience that is causing this contracted emotion? And see what clarity can be extracted there. What am I believing right now? How, in what way am I defining this in a negative or lack-based way? And then from that place, it is easier to come back into what is true. Okay, I'm believing that because my partner leaves, I'm not loved. Well, that feels crappy. It's not true. So, okay, so what is true? Life is abundant. There are more than 7 billion people on the planet. There are such an abundance of meetings and life experiences. Trusting in that perfection of that unfolding and relaxing into that.
And you can test out different perspectives. If you first become aware that, oh, I'm in a negative perspective somehow, that's only half the game. That's only half the thing. It's not like, oh, I've discovered I'm in a negative perspective. Okay, but you don't go anywhere, so to speak. We're just still staying in that negative perspective. But you might be like, well, I don't know what this cosmological perspective about life is that I should hold. I don't know what's the perfect perspective in this moment. Like, I'm not freaking enlightened. I don't know. And so that's where we get to try it out. And that's where you get to tune into your own guidance, what it's like for you to get this resonance, expansion, contraction. And that's where, like Ronja was saying, you can test things out. You can test defining things out in different ways until you get that hit. And it's not a random wishful thinking that you get that hit of yesness. That just start trusting more and more that you're getting that yesness for a reason. And for another example, the example Ronja said, if somebody breaks up with you, if your partner leaves you, then if you're like, well, then I'm lacking love because my partner left. Life's like, okay, if that's the paradigm you want to live in, we want to show you that you're crafting your own life. So we're going to give you what you want. And right now, this isn't what your personality might say. This it's not what you want, but you're learning. It's like we're learning to drive, so to speak, from a different analogy. But if we define that, well, I'm lacking love. Okay, well then let me try this. Well, then maybe I'll find another partner, and then I'll be able to find love again. Yes, that's a step in the right direction, so to speak. But then you're still limiting your reception, your experience of in-loveness with another human, another form, another structural thing of boyfriend or girlfriend. And so as opposed to saying, okay, well, if my partner's leaving, it doesn't indicate I'm lacking love. From a universal perspective, there's love everywhere. Okay, let me just relax into there's love everywhere. And it's, yes, there's a certain flavor that happens in a relationship, which is beautiful, but there's love everywhere. Then I could walk away from that conversation of being broken up with. And if I'm like, okay, there's love everywhere, I'm open to experience this, I might then happen to catch the sunset and experience this sense of connection and unity and love with life in a way that I've never experienced before, purely because I'm open to that possibility of happening. But if I get tunnel visioned into it has to show up in a certain way, it has to be from this type of person with this type of container for me to then experience love, we're going to be searching for these circumstances, and we're going to miss all the love around us that's happening all the time, and all the little conversations we have, and the moments looking at the stars, etc.
So Lisa says, "Holy crap balls, that resonates so much, aligning with acceptance." I just want to reset this camera. We're just having a bit of a backup filming here going on, so we'll just reset that as well. Okay, cool. So in the invitation for this live stream, there's a few little kind of key points and bullet points, and one of them is discover the sweetness of being through this simple secret, something like that. And so this simple secret that we both have found, this is something that both Ryan and I live, we have noticed when we have been hanging out and traveling together and doing different things, is that when things don't go as planned, we automatically assume that that is life working out for the best. That is our default assumption. So that when things turn chaotic and things seem to not work out in the way we planned them to or wanted them to, we assume that this is simply life creating something even better. So one very clear example of this from this morning was the first live stream not working out. So we had set to go at 9 a.m. our time, and at 9:15 we still couldn't start the broadcast. There was just no button to press where the button normally is. We were like, how do we do this? Log back in, try and restart, still no button. It's like, okay, we need to set up a completely new webinar and send out the invitation, which is the one that you're on right now. Right now we have just under 70 people on, so thank you so much for coming along with us. We can go into total contraction, like we have a couple of hundred people signed up, people are waiting, now they're going to leave, and we could potentially go into total stress mode. I mean, we were doing things pretty quickly, but still it was this feeling of like, this is still life working out for the best. That is our assumption. And one possible perspective of that is, okay, cool, so this means that even more people will have time to join. Yes, some people might need to leave early, but they can watch the replay. But all in all, this gives an extra boost of even more people being able to join this live stream, so that even more people can get the download of life being amazing and epic and adventurous and perfectly working out for you at all times. And so the love in this way can be shared even more because of the first live stream not working out. And I also saw a few comments in the beginning, some people saying, thank you guys for waiting and starting later. Now my husband can join, or now I could send it to a couple of friends who are joining. So something seemingly going wrong, the technicality is not working in us not being able to start on time, if we just assume that it turns out for the best anyway, it pretty much always does.
The way I'd phrase that is, from our physically based perspective, from our physically based awareness, it seems things aren't working out well because the circumstances, from the way being down in the maze, our circumstances seem like they're not working out well. But it's just trusting, oh, this actually is still working out well from a higher perspective that can see. This is an opportunity for something. This is a course correction in a certain way that our personality might not know. This is us being taken care of by just a gentle course correction this way or that way. And then again, how we define it will then shape how we come out the other side and where we're at. If we were in a stressed, like angry with each other, like, why isn't this working well? And then
we should have tried it earlier.
Totally. And then why are you doing this to me? And oh my gosh, these people aren't going to like me because of you. Oh my gosh. And like whatever, then that would dramatically shape the timeline, the experience of what happens here. And so now, like, in a way, it's a choose your own adventure story every moment. So how we chose to handle that, we're now on a different timeline than if we chose to go down a different timeline, different route, different choices, different definitions.
Because we would have been super stressed coming on if we had been in the state of, oh, how terrible, and we're disappointing people and things going wrong. Then we would have come on to this live stream being all stressed out and not being in the zone where we can actually share this with you. Right. So the inner state of being is the most important at all times, no matter what happens in the circumstance.
And so I want to add the next little phrase, which I think you're going down into. And it's regarding with what somebody said as well. Like, if sometimes things are just seemingly not going so well that there's such like a tornado of emotion and feeling, and you can't kind of get your head above water. sometimes in those situations, to find the most accurate perspective of how to perceive this person who's doing this to me in a way, like that detail, sometimes it's not accessible, and that's okay. So we can zoom out to like an overarching intention. And one that really works for me, and I want Ronja to elaborate upon it a little bit more, but is it worked out so well. So if you're in this vortex, you can just choose to say, okay, I can't really tap into the embodied experience of it, but I'm just going to say, like, in a way that what I'm telling my driver who's driving my car and orchestrating my life is like, okay, what I want on the other side of this, it worked out so well. It worked out so well. Oh my gosh. Like, whatever the scenario is, it worked out so well. And that's offering the blueprint, the GPS coordinates of what you want, not, oh, I hope I figure out how to figure this out, or I hope I don't totally mess this up, then life's going to get even worse. It's just like, oh my God, it worked out so well. And you just keep that as your North Star and see what happens with life. It's really let the magic then happen.
So this is thank you, Ryan. Yeah. So this is something that the first time Ryan said this, I instantly started using this in my own life. And this is something that we invite you to, if this excites you, if this resonates, to begin using from this moment forwards in your whole life. And so especially in moments of confusion or overwhelm, or when it seems like a situation, an obstacle is insurmountable, that it's like difficult to overcome a challenge, or maybe there's something that you want to accomplish, but when you tune into the specifics of taking action on it, it just feels confusing and overwhelming, and it feels like, oh, I don't know how to do this, or I have no idea how to figure that out, or it seems difficult. To just drop that whole thing, because from within that feeling state of things being difficult and things being confusing and things being hard and not working out, no good solutions can come to you. And so the shifter sentence in this is just to drop the whole thing and just relax into the state of, oh my God, that worked out so well. It's almost as if you're just fast forwarding or jumping, like time traveling into the time where you look back at the situation from it already being complete and going, oh my God, that worked out so well. Like that thing just working out, and that person coming into my life at exactly the right moment, and randomly meeting that person and seeing that post on Facebook that just put me in contact with somebody else, or like I could not have foreseen that. From where I was standing, I could not have foreseen that. But looking back from it already having happened, it's like, oh my God, that worked out so well. So that's something you can just get into. And really with this, it's not just the words, but from dropping the details and from dropping the trying to take action from confusion or overwhelm, coming into a feeling state of, oh my God, that worked out so well. And that excitement, that puts you in the vibrational stance of already having received that, of that already being true. And then life has to just fill in the gap and orchestrate the circumstances and the serendipitous meetings and the synchronicities for that to come to full fruition.
You become a vibrational match for that version of experience.
And with this, you also tap into the intelligence of your higher self and of life itself, which has that bird's eye view and that multidimensional vision that can orchestrate things. So you're, in a way, delegating to the universe, which is much better at delivering to you the life experiences and circumstances that you desire than your personally asserted, limited view self has.
Beautiful.
So this is a way to tap into that greater intelligence.
Yeah, and for some reason the image just popped into my mind. It's like almost like a life preserver. You're in the rough ocean and you're like, I'm not sure what to grab. Gosh, I know I'm creating my reality. I'm not sure what direction, what perspective to hold, or like things are a big swirl. You can just grab onto, oh my God, it worked out so well. Okay, that's the vibration that I'm just going to abide in. I'm gonna find a refuge in and relax into. So I'm seeing a couple questions. I would love, they seem really key. I'd love to go into that.
Please do.
Cool?
Please do. Sure.
So one of them's from Bart.
Let me just broadcast this. Yeah, you can go. Just go.
Okay, one of them's from Bart. How do you deal with people who are on a different level that does not resonate with you? People who don't see the magic of life that's possible. If this question makes any sense, yeah. So absolutely, total sense. And this is another big key piece in empowered living, is allowing people to have their own experience, letting people, realizing everyone's on their own journey. Where that's a problem is where I think my happiness is dependent upon them. If they act in a certain way, then I can be happy. But if they infringe upon me, I can't be happy. That's why we have wars. That's why we have borders. That's why we have the crazy state of affairs in the world that we have. And so when we realize that, when we allow people, basically it's the law of allowing. It's like allowing people to have the experience they want, knowing my experience is independent of them. For instance, in this morning live stream, that when we were going through this thing, we could have started piggybacking on each other's vibration, as Ronja, the more technical one, is quickly like speeding through the computer, doing her things, keeping a beautiful poised vibration anyway. But nonetheless, I could have kind of piggyback on that, or I'm like, oh, what is my experience in this? Like, what is this time offer me to do? I'm gonna support and help, but I'm not gonna now own or take responsibility for her. I'm gonna let her have her experience. I'm gonna allow myself to have my experience, and we'll continue that way. Or if we're in a road trip, say we're driving in a car, and where there's 3 people, 2 of them are like, oh my gosh, my day was horrible. Look at this traffic. Like this world sucks. Oh my God, are you seeing the politics nowadays? If that candidate gets elected, I don't know what we're gonna do. And if you're like, oh my gosh, I have to leave these people, I have to get out of here, like I can't have fun because of them, then in a way, that's very disempowered living. You can then choose to, in a way, tune them out, allow them to have whatever experience they have. You, don't need to caretake them. You can trust they're on their own journey of learning. And then you can still choose to feel however you want about whatever's happening. So then you can choose to say, cool, instead of worrying about the political situation of whatever country I'm living in, I can just relax, let it all go. Oh my God, look at the sunshine. I can just look out the window. What an amazing planet we live on. Looking at these plants as I drive by. And so then I can have my own experience, or I could decide to watch my breath, or I could decide to think about what I want to do in my life. I can choose to think about and rest my focus, my awareness, wherever I want. So in that same car ride, we could get out and my friends are like, that was the worst car ride ever. Did you see all that traffic? People were cutting me off. And you're like, oh my God, that was the most amazing car ride. I just had made such good use of my time. And I feel so empowered and happy with that. So that's what I want to say. When people aren't on your wavelength, first of all, notice what story, where that contraction might come from, how you're defining these people not being on your wavelength. And then know that you can do whatever you want anyway. And I'm just going to touch on a little piece and then there can be a time and place where you might be in one frequency domain of community. And so you're resonating with people on a certain level. As you start waking up, so to speak, more and more, or starting to have this more expanded perspective, you might not like fit. It might feel like tight. You're trying to put on an old tight shirt, and it doesn't fit anymore with your more expanded sense of self. So it doesn't mean you have to label them or judge them or push away from them, but there can sometimes be a relevance to moving on and then allowing a new circle of friends which meet you on this level, this resonant level that you're at. So it's okay to, some people have a lot of emotional challenge with that, like, well, I'm ditching my friends, I'm leaving my friends, etc. Sometimes it's very natural to allow them to be where they're at, and you can pursue the fun where you're at. And if you don't know anybody else who's thinking like you are, who's talking like we are, you don't know anybody else like that yet. There's plenty of people in your town, but you might not have been a vibrational match up until this very moment to be on that same playground with them. So now when you go to the grocery store, instead of seeing the people you always see there, you're going to, oh my God, I've never seen this person before. They must be new to town. And then you talk to them and you realize they've lived here for 5 years also. It's like, oh my gosh, life is so crazy. Like right here, there's new people that I didn't even met. Life is abundant with connections in this regard.
And so if you can stay aligned with your own sense of abundance and joy, regardless of the circumstances, then very quickly circumstances will begin to reflect that alignment. So trust that above all else. Trust your alignment above all else. And so sometimes we might be in a place like here, it's very easy to look around and see the mountains and the ocean over there and the sunshine and appreciate that. But even if we are in a situation where seemingly there is nothing to appreciate, there is always something. And what I resort to, like if I'm in a really kind of boring place or there's nothing really going on that stands out, like I can't look at a flower or a volcano or something that is quote unquote beautiful, you can always fall back at like, oh my God, we're on a planet. how cool is that? That there's this atmosphere just holding everything in perfectly, and like we don't fall off the earth. And even just like if I'm just in a train or something where I can't see much, just like, oh my God, this body is mostly empty space, and yet it seems so real. Like there's always something to be amazed by and to be kind of in excitement with. So just see what those things are for you that you can shift into regardless of what is happening around you. Thank you, Bart.
Yeah.
So there was one other question here that Daria, we're going to get to you as well. I just want to see which one we're going to go to next. So I just see if there's this one. So yes, this actually ties into your question, Daria. She says, what can I do when my life is a little bit boring and not so crazy as I want? I am a young mother and art student, but I want traveling and to be a billionaire. Love you. Awesome. Okay, thank you, Daria. So there's always some excitement to follow. Even if it seems small from where you're standing, the way to get a life or to live a life where things become more and more exciting is to follow the excitement and the joy and the passion that is already there in your present circumstance. So you mentioned being a mother, you mentioned being an art student. So if you can find the feeling of magic and excitement in painting or in whatever form of art that you're doing, then that puts you into a feeling state where more and more things to appreciate and be excited about will come into your experience. Being a mother, looking at your child and feeling amazed that this being was inside your body and now it's having its own life experience, and that's a miracle too. And whatever that is, because when we follow the excitement, what happens is that we shift into a new access point of vibrational reality. So it's almost like if you imagine that you are standing in front of 5 different doors, and the 5 different doors in this analogy are 5 different possible actions or feeling states. And so there might be one thing is like writing an email, one thing is going and making a salad to eat, one thing is calling a friend, one thing is tuning into a webinar or live stream with us, or one thing is to paint, say. And just tuning into those things, or going to a party, let's just add that one. So tuning into different things, feeling what feels the most alive, what feels the most inspiring, what feels the most exciting. And if you go with the, oh no, I should write the email because that's is what it feels like I should be doing. I mean, yes, it can be good to write important emails, but going with that will keep you in a frequency domain of things kind of being a bit boring and a bit stuck. Whereas, for example, oh, going to that party, even if it feels like I should be doing this, going to this party feels the most exciting. So you walk through that door, you trust the excitement because Ryan and Ronja said so. So you trust the excitement, you walk through the door of like, okay, this feels the most exciting. It doesn't make logical sense. I feel like I'm being irresponsible, but I'm just going to go to this party because it excites me. From walking through that door, 5 new doors appear that are all branching out from that first action of following that initial excitement. And so in the party, it might turn out that you meet the perfect person who can actually do your emails for you, or it works out that you're meeting the next love of your life, or it works out that you're getting in touch with these people. And from that meeting, from that party, and you stepping into that feeling of excitement, things begin to unfold. And then like 27 doors down the line, say, you are having a life experience that you could not have foreseen from that initial point of making a decision, if that makes sense. It's like we only really have access to what is in close, kind of what is in our vibrational range at the moment. But when we choose to follow the excitement and trust that, then new possibilities open up, new possibilities open up, new possibilities open up. And trusting that we don't have to have the whole thing laid out. Just begin to follow the excitement. And so if you have the longing to travel and to be a billionaire, if that feels exciting, then your most direct path to that will be to follow your excitement. And not only will that increase your chances of actually having that come into your experience of traveling and making lots of money, but you'll feel so much better on every step of the way. So again, it's about the feeling, not the form. So trusting that.
Beautiful. And I want to add 2 pieces to this as well. So that, leg cramp. So that, totally, yes. So that, let me just relax and not resist that. Okay. With the party analogy, you could have to do emails. Oh, but I don't, that's a have to. I really want to go to this party. You could go to the party, and maybe you don't meet the love of your life. Maybe you don't have this amazing synchronicity, but you come back home the next day, you're just feeling refreshed. You're like, you know what? Cool. I got out of the house. I feel refreshed. You know what? I feel like doing emails now. I feel like I'm in a fun space to do emails. Emails are good. It's not, emails aren't bad in of themselves either. And then in that like 30-minute period, that next morning, you crank out so much efficiency in work because you're feeling refreshed, because you're feeling energized. Then if you tried to force your way through it and like 2 hours go by and you're trying to focus and you're not thinking. And so sometimes when you follow your excitement in ways that seem like they take you away from your responsibilities, you can be enlivened enough that then when it's relevant, you can handle your responsibilities so much more efficiently.
Totally.
Now, the second piece I want to add is when you're talking about traveling and being a billionaire, awesome. And now what's really, 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 really important as well is that we don't hang our happiness upon circumstances. So your happiness, so if you travel or if you're a billionaire, that does not guarantee you're going to be happy. Like it could be even a bigger pain in the butt than you have right now. Like, you know, so there's circumstances are neutral is how we approach them. So what I would invite you to do is, but you can use your, if that resonates for you, if that's a symbol of something for you, go with that. Use your imagination to cultivate that feeling state. And so, but what we'll do is, so traveling. So I would ask you, well, why does traveling excite you? What does traveling symbolize to you? And it could be like, well, obviously it's freedom. It's being able to feel freedom, being able to be like in the moment and having like new discoveries. Yeah, I'm just doing the same thing every day and it's so boring. I want like new discoveries. And what else is it about traveling? Oh, I'm gonna have new connections. Okay, cool. So then we're extracting the experiences that you're projecting upon that circumstance. And it very well might be that exact circumstance. But in the meantime, you can still enjoy those frequencies of, ooh, fun connections, new discovery each moment, not being stuck in a boring ho-hum routine. And if that's the case, be in that, like marinade, steep in those frequencies, and then go into your day and then see if, like how your day gets shaped. Because then you might notice a way of approaching your day a little differently. You might be driving down the same street you always drive down, you know, bringing your child to school or whatever you're doing. But instead, you're just looking at it like, oh my God, I've never noticed the trees on this road. And of course, you're driving carefully, but you're noticing the trees. And there's new discovery. So you can experience the experience of new discovery right here, right now in your town. So in that sense, don't wait. Don't wait for your happiness for this circumstance that you think. Extract the feeling quality right now and experience that here and now. That not only just has you feel refreshed, relax your cells, your nervous system relaxes, but it also makes you a vibrational match, so that more likely that experience, you're going to see the opportunities. Things will stand out to you more that are in alignment with that frequency domain. It might be traveling, but then you're going to discover so many other scenarios that can deliver a similar emotional response.
Beautiful. And so I want to add to that thing about traveling, and I'm so glad that you brought this up as an example, because this is something that so many people I talk to want to have as their experience. Usually the conversation goes something like, wow, you travel so much all the time, I wish I could do that too, as if we are like living in different universes where I can and they can't. And so also tagging, sort of tuning into that, what you say about being a billionaire, I would imagine that a part of being a billionaire is the feeling of that means that then you can do whatever you want. If you have a lot of money, then you can do anything. So it's that feeling of freedom again.
Or security. You're taken care of.
Or security. And so if we are waiting for external circumstances to change before we start living our dream, then we are in a state of waiting, and then life as our mirror is waiting as well. So waiting for circumstances to change before we start acting on our joy and before we start living our dream, is like standing in front of a mirror and waiting for the mirror reflection to make the first move, which is just silly because it doesn't work like that. Now the mirror reflection of life, there is a time gap, so it seems like it's not a mirror effect, but it's very, very similar to a mirror, an actual mirror, just that there being a bit of a time gap. So the way to move into this is to just start living that immediately. So when I started traveling, because right now at this point I do have enough money to travel and to do the things that I want to do with that, like with financial means. But when I started this, I just traveled. Like I hitchhiked with like flower trucks around Europe. I just found ways to kind of trade for what I wanted to do, etc. So I didn't wait for circumstances to change, but I just started following the excitement of that and started traveling. And then through that experience, then life became magical and things started opening up in a different way. Just hold on, I just want to say real quick. Our friend just arrived. I just want to say we started half an hour later because of some technical difficulties. So we just started a little bit late, but just wanted to let you know.
So
Yeah.
while she's talking, what I also want to say is, yeah. But again, even with traveling, extract what that symbolizes for you. Again, like really take time later today and write down, okay, I want to travel and be a billionaire. Why? What does that offer? Because you can start experiencing those experiences in ways that if you're thinking I can only experience that freedom, that happiness, that joy when I travel, then you're going to wait, and it'll never happen, so to speak. But there's going to be so many new discoveries within your life that you can experience. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
So beautiful. So Lisa has a question. It seems like we've moved into question and answer time.
Yeah,
so that's
but
cool.
this is relevant. This is good.
Yeah. So I'll just broadcast this one as well. So Lisa says, cool. So Lisa says, I do get it and it resonates with me, but I am asking myself, how can you say, wow, that worked out so well, when there's something huge going on related to sickness, death, etc., etc.? Can you, well, if you want to give more detail about this, then we can be even more specific. But there are also some general things that we can share about this. So sickness, for example, sickness very, very often. I mean, it might be some rare cases where it's like you've been poisoned by something and then you get sick. But in terms of the physical body and our well-being, our physical body, same as if you look at the physical body also as a circumstance reflecting our inner state of being, our body very, very closely reflects our inner state of being and what we believe and what we feel. So this may or may not jive for you, so take this with a grain of salt. Just see if this resonates, if this feels like true truth for you. Different illnesses usually come from an emotional imbalance of some kind or perspective being out of alignment. And so, for example, something like cancer very often is related, not always, but very often is related to a lot of anger and resentment being held on in the body. So emotions actually create huge repercussions in our body, especially when there's a lot of resistance added to it. So when we're having a strong emotion, that creates a certain chemical cocktail in our brain. It creates a certain mix and balance of hormones, of neurotransmitters, and it also creates a certain level of acidity or alkalinity in the body. So when we are smiling and when we're feeling happy, our body actually becomes more alkaline. And when we are feeling angry and resentful and in resistance, that makes our body more acidic. And cancer, for example, needs to have an acidic environment to really survive and thrive. And so our feeling state is healthy in huge ways. And so often the cure for cancer is not necessarily chemotherapy, but forgiveness and opening up and really getting to the root of what am I holding on to here, and going through forgiveness process that can release the emotion that caused the illness or the disease to occur, because the illness is just a physical representation or manifestation that actually has a non-physical cause, which is usually a belief or a feeling of some kind. And so that is how life working out perfectly for you through the seeming distraction of illness is actually again just another opportunity to come into a greater trust and abundance. And if you want this to be backed up, then you can Google different things about people shifting their emotional state, going through forgiveness, or going through some kind of healing journey where seemingly incurable illnesses disappear from the body system completely through just a realignment of perspective, through forgiveness and through self-love and through opening up in different ways, whether this is obesity or fibromyalgia or tension in the body or chronic pain or cancer or MS or even AIDS. There are like countless examples of all of this being healed through a simple shift of perspective and vibration.
Beautiful.
And death. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Well, I'm going to take the whole question from a different angle.
Oh, so, please. Should I just want to add to the death thing? Death is actually not really a bad thing. It's just from our personal perspective, yes, it seems like it's maybe a negative experience, but from the non-physical perspective, death, meaning when the physical body falls away, that will most likely, this is my perspective on this, my personal perspective on this, is that death will be an experience of like, oh my God, there is so much abundance, so much love, so much expansion. Like taking infinity and condensing it into this is more close to the prison experience. But when the body falls away and we're just re-emerging into that pure positive energy of love and consciousness purely, that is an amazing experience. I'm actually quite excited about it. I'm looking forward to it in the sense that I'm excited about that next adventure. I am enjoying this life experience immensely. I don't plan to go anytime soon. However, I don't see death as a negative thing. We might, as relatives and friends, feel sad about someone dying, but that is just a testament to the love you feel for them, because if you didn't love that person, you wouldn't care. So you feeling sad about somebody dying, that is first of all an indication of the love you feel for them, and secondly, that your perspective about their death is out of alignment because it feels bad. So a perspective about somebody dying that is in alignment is just a complete trust. It's that was the perfect thing for the next step of their evolution and for their adventure, and there truthfully is no such thing as death ultimately. It's just like a ray of light shifting into a new direction or changing frequency. So whatever you bring up, there's always a perspective that is in alignment with this that you can find. So just checking in if that resonates with you.
Yeah. And with death, like life, you could say life as we know it is simply our awareness being physically focused. So like we're physically focused on it, like the fingertip of our consciousness of who we are is focused in like this fingertip right here is my physical body. And so I'm physically focused, plugged in here. But when I say leave this physicality, in a way, then my focus shifts back into my non-physical body. And so it's more like waking up from a dream. Like when we sleep at night and we wake up from a dream, like, oh my God, I thought that was so real. Gosh, wow, what did I learn? What happened? Look at those experiences. And so it's kind of like that experience. So the other angle on this is if there's sickness and death, like say of a loved one, like say there's somebody in your family who's dying or who's sick or who's old, that totally the same thing applies. Like, oh my God, that worked out so well. Like such perfect timing for their transition into their non-physical. First of all, they're having their own journey. If you overly identify and take responsibility unnecessarily for their journey, that's totally your choice. You will learn through that, but ultimately like not to do that. Like to really know, to allow everyone to have their own journey. And of course, be compassionate, be supportive in the way that it resonates and is fun for you. But it can work out so well. And so if there's a loved one dying, it can really tap like, wow, this worked out so well. The lessons I'm learning in relation to them. They're having their experience. I want to make them as comfortable as possible, etc. But then, okay, how am I relating to this? Like it worked out so well, the lessons I'm learning and what is triggering about my own mortality. And then I can look at those beliefs that I have, which, wow, a lot of my life's actually gauged around not dying. I'm navigating my circumstances because I'm petrified of dying. So this person's illness in my life can life is very efficient. So everyone can learn very efficient lessons. And so it's like, oh, here's a situation, someone's dying. Let's use this as a catalyst to uproot some of these limiting beliefs within yourself. So that worked out so well as far as my own growth. That worked out so well as far as my family, how my family is dealing with this. And when you're holding that perspective, then somehow you're going to get drawn to like, you know what, let me have a family dinner on Tuesday night. And that's a beautiful moment for things to come together. You're going to get these inspired ideas that are of the same frequency range of that working out so well with the family harmony coming together, as opposed to this is horrible, it's not going to work, I don't know, life's good, like my family's going to fall apart. then you're not, those inspired ideas of how to have the family flourish won't be coming in. You're going to be more of the frequency domain, frequency range of all the reasons and the possible ways that the family could disintegrate even more. So even in those situations, like, wow, it worked out so well. I can't even fathom how this is possibly going to work out so well. But because it's happening, it's been allowed into existence. So I'm just going to choose anyway. I don't even know if what Ryan and Ronja and all these other teachers are talking about is like real. But I guess I don't know that this is necessarily a horrible thing either. I've just learned that growing up also. So it's all kind of arbitrary, the paradigms I choose anyway. You know what? Let me just make my best guess. And let me just, at least this feels better. And if I feel better, I know I'm then more in a loving, compassionate space. I'm a better person. Let me try it out. And so try it out.
Totally. And Lisa also says, she says, thanks for this about our relative dying, grateful for this answer. And she also says, I'm not sure how this works out for sickness you're born with. And so the same thing goes here, is that we do have, this is my belief and my perspective, that before we come into this physical dimension, that we do have full view of the family and the parents and the body that we are born into. So the theme for a person born with some kind of chronic illness or chronic sickness might be perfect for the theme that person, that individual wants to explore in this lifetime. So for example, somebody
totally is always.
Yeah, we are always born into the perfect family, the perfect country, the perfect everything for what we want to explore thematically in this lifetime. So somebody, for example, being born with an inability to speak, say, or like that the vocal cords or whatever is not set up in the regular way so that we can't speak, they might want to explore finding alternative ways of communicating or finding more psychic abilities. Somebody being born without legs might become an amazing athlete, regardless of the physical legs not being there, or becoming an inspirational speaker. And again, if you want this backed up, you can just Google a ton of people who have seeming disabilities and illnesses that are some of the most empowered and inspiring people on the planet. So it's all perfect.
And also, like, so another way to say this is it's really important, if you have a chronic issue, to find a way of how this has benefited you. If we're looking at it as it being a horrible thing and it's detracted from your life, etc., and it's just like, I can't be happy until that's gone, that's going to be a challenging approach. But if you can somehow find the silver lining, somehow make lemonade out of these lemons, say, that it seems like you've gotten, then it frees up that definition, and then you have access to more things as well. So for instance, if say you have chronic fatigue, and you're like, I just can't do these, I just can't keep up, I can't, et cetera, et cetera. So for instance, it's so easy actually to sleepwalk through life. Like, especially depending on what culture you're born into, life can be relatively easy in a sense. And, or, I mean, it's challenging, but it's very easy to get like, to be taken by the current, the stream of the collective thought. And so in a way, sleepwalk, to go to work. Well, of course, you're supposed to go to work, you're supposed to get married, and life can just be hard. That's just how it is. So suck it up. So I go home, I watch TV because that's what everyone else does. I wake up, I go to work. I come home, I watch TV. You know, and so it's so easy to sleepwalk. And so sometimes when we have chronic illnesses, it's actually a catalyst to shake us up out of that and to have us question, okay, well, what is the point of life? Why am I here? Like, what's going on? God, what's the deal? Like, what is God? Like, and so it can actually often propel us on a journey that we wouldn't necessarily have gone on to begin with. And like, regardless, even if a current health thing is due to sort of negative perspectives, and then it went from the mental, emotional, and manifested physically, and my current state of being is a reflection of my past, my current circumstances are a reflection of my past state of being and belief systems, even that's perfect. It's not like you messed up or screwed up, because even that's perfect, because the gift is not, the destination is not the gem of life. It's the journey is the gem, because the journey just continues when we're in physical focus, when we're in non-physical focus. So every little step of expansion, every little step of new perspective, freedom of our perspective and our awareness to check out different angles and to be more malleable, every step is like it ripples out into creation and celebration. And so it really is the journey. And so say, wow, I've created a financial issue and relationships that suck because I was just living an unconscious, clueless life. Instead of me being sad about that, then I'm going to trust that, wow, the theme of my life might be that. So it might be totally perfect that the first part of my life, I was set up in such a way where there was this veil where I kind of forgot everything. So I created a mess. So then I can work with that momentum of going from a mess in one lifetime, going to a very, very clean, empowered way of living. And that rapid seeming acceleration to some people not only is massive for your own development, but also you're blazing a pathway through the unconscious. Like you're supporting the collective in going from, say, limitation to abundance, so that when other people, they're sitting on the other side of the world, they're like, wow, everyone around me thinks this is just how life is and I just have to deal with it. But no, maybe life is different. Maybe life is different. And oh my God, as I say that, I look in the window to see a reflection of the clouds and I see a heart shape in the clouds. That's awesome. And so then someone else in a different place might have access to an inspired thought, because you've created a wake, like a slipstream in consciousness for them to follow. The same way that you're able to listen to things and resonate more is because people before us have sort of broken out of the collective mold. And as that's happening more and more and more, it's becoming easier and easier and easier. And that's why this like awakening phenomenon is happening more and more and more on the planet. It's really like, it's nothing special. It's more like, oh, we're just kind of remembering how life works, you know? Yeah.
And so any kind of circumstance can be a catalyst for something beautiful. So a loved one dying can cause a huge number of people to finally start living their life.
Yes.
Finally start living their life. Or any kind of catalyst, or you being sexually abused as a child and going through the healing journey of that can then allow you to work with hundreds of people and help them on their healing journey. So there are always these perspectives that we can find on this.
Yeah.
So I want to move on to Carmen's question, because this is really really good one. So she says, about the wow, it worked out so well, I also wonder when you said or did something to other people was really not a good idea, how to not judge then and still say that worked out so well. So this is about trusting what Ryan said, that everyone is on their own journey, everyone is on their own path, that if you said something that triggered a response in them, first of all, for them to be triggered in any way, there has to be the corresponding hook in them, there has to be the corresponding out of alignment belief system or something, otherwise it just wouldn't touch them. So you doing something seemingly to them that triggers them in some way or causes them to feel whatever they feel is the perfect experience for them to experience whatever they need for their next step in their growth and in their evolution. I can say for myself, a lot of the times when I have been seemingly hurt by someone or somebody has done something that I experience as extremely painful, that is an opportunity for me to look at where am I blocking love inside of me, or where is my perspective out of alignment. And so and this doesn't mean that you like just have this as an excuse for going around and hurting people a lot. That's not what I'm saying, and I don't think that this was what you would take from it either, because it seems like you're a beautiful person, otherwise you wouldn't ask this question. So it doesn't mean that you go out and intentionally try and hurt people, but just trusting that if you act from your own authenticity and your own alignment, and that causes them to feel something, that is perfect for their journey. And if you try and overly protect people from their experience by modifying your behavior and in a way stepping away from your own alignment to accommodate other people, then not only are you acting in a way that is out of integrity with your theme and your highest truth, but you're also robbing them of the opportunity to see through what they need to see through to come into a space of greater freedom. And so there's really no need to feel guilty about anything in this. Anything you want to answer that?
Yes. So yeah, I would say the first step is if I could generalize what Ronja was pointing to, of we can never infringe on anybody's free will, so to speak, though we can infringe on people's free will. We can like the layers, there are many layers of how we perceive consciousness. So you can say, no one is coming to your orbit, like everything is agreed upon. Like from our higher self perspective, we're like, oh, that's a lesson I need to learn. Ryan needs to have his heart broken to crack some shielding he has so that he can actually experience the intention of being in love with life and with people. But there's such stuff from his past, he has such a guard. We need something to happen. So let's bring in a woman who he's going to fall in love with, but who's not a good fit. So then she leaves him. So his heart's broken. And so that could be the absolute perfect thing for me from our higher self level of coordinating these scenarios with each other. And so just first of all, zooming out and trusting, okay, somehow they're participating in this drama is the first step. But that's not the place to just stay and hang out, because then, like Ronja was saying also, it's not to then use that as an excuse to do stupid things and mean things to people. It's not a justification of our behavior, but it helps take some of the tension off. So, okay, cool. Somehow we've co-created this. We've co-agreed to this. Now, what feels best in this moment? I said something. I was kind of unconscious. I was totally pissed. This clearly was my mom trigger, and I was projecting on her. Oh, I see that now, and she's really upset. Okay, what should I do? And so then, oh my God, this worked out so well on a lot of different levels, but on the level of like, well, how did I get into this situation? I'm like, cool, I'm going to trust this. So maybe the gem of this situation is not about not hurting people or apparently hurting people. It's about learning clear communication. So then, to the best of my ability, I can then clean things up with someone. I can then use my articulation and find ways to communicate that maybe the normal society doesn't do, or they're too scared of, to be vulnerable and share impact of how whatever she was doing before I freaked out was affecting me, or to come humbly and say, you know what, I learned a lot. I actually messed up. That could be huge for me, but that could be the opportunity in that moment. So just because, yes, we agree upon situations doesn't mean that we're callous or we walk away. Sometimes the gift is in then needing to find conscious ways to communicate, finding ways to express our emotions and our feelings and our experience with another person. And that actually might give you the freedom that you want and take you out of the cage that you feel like you're in, where you think you need to travel in order to get out of the cage. It might be more of this emotional cage that you just associate with your circumstances and the people in your life, because they're not allowing you to be you. But you're not allowing you to be you because you're holding yourself in based on caretaking them or thinking they won't understand or don't want them to be upset with you. If you end up speaking your truth in a conscious, as best as you can, knowing it's a learning experience, you could mess it up, but then you're going to learn, you're going to learn, you're going to learn. Then you experience the freedom you always associate with travel. So then you don't need to travel, but since you're then a vibrational match and you experience that freedom, then probably the opportunities might come up to actually travel. But it's not just the travel, it's the experience.
Yes. So thanks, Lo.
Yeah.
So I just want to echo a bit of what is being said in the chat. There's
Cool.
a lot of mutual yeses, and a lady says the cage analogy is so clear, Ryan. Thank you.
Cool.
A lot of people are resonating, saying that this is awesome.
So beautiful. Thanks,
Love
guys.
to hear you guys share about the ego. This strengthens me. Yeah, and it seems like there are two Lisas, one from Holland and one from New Zealand, and they're writing to each other.
Oh, nice.
So I was wondering, like, Lisa, are you just writing to yourself? But it's in a way you are doing that always with this. So Cameron says, yes, that makes sense. Both things you say make a lot of things clear to me about myself and communication.
Cool.
Thank you. You're so welcome. So maybe you can take Don's question while I check if there are any pre-submitted ones that
Cool.
That we want to, because we have quite a lot of pre-submitted questions. We're not going to go for that much longer, maybe. We'll just see. But I do want to see if there's something that could be valuable for everyone.
So Don has a question. So question: how to empower myself as quickly and strongly as possible in the midst of circumstances that are scary and disempowering? All right, let's feel on that one. Well,
we've touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, in one sense, we've touched on that a lot. And I would say the quickest trigger for me is it worked out so well. Like in the midst of circumstances that are scary and disempowering, where I don't see how this could actually be a benefit, I'm just like, well, gosh, I can feel how if I haven't settled into that frequency, if I haven't trusted that, then it could just sound like words. It worked out so well. Oh my God, no, it's not. But it worked out so well. But I don't believe it. So I would invite. So what helps me when I'm in the midst of a storm is having a vibrational clarity on what I want to say before the storm or at other points in my day. So you might be doing this, but I invite you, if you're not, to take some time within your day, say, or within your week, where you can take sort of some creational space for yourself. And then you can get vibrationally clear on what you want in your life. Well, I want to travel. I want a partner. I want this. Cool. Then do the next level of extracting what do those things symbolize. I want experience of connection. I want experience of freedom. And then we soften the circumstances and we just tune into that vibrational frequency range, and then let life deliver the most epic, utterly relevant circumstances that match that. Some could be very like, oh, of course this is happening. This makes sense. And some could be so surprising and such a joy for us. So when I'm clear like that, then in those moments I can test out and okay, so that worked out so well. It can start on an intellectual level, but you have to then use your imagination. Imagination is so powerful. Like the body in a way doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. Like when you imagine something, it's actually like burning a new memory in our neural pathways, basically. When you really feel when you really imagine with feeling. Because physical reality is purely a physicalized imagination to consciousness anyway. So to our consciousness, this is just as much imagination as everything else. So use your imagination creativity, and how does it worked out so well fit for you? So perhaps imagine scenarios. It worked out so well. Well, how could that work out so well? Well, I suppose I could learn this lesson. And then once you start doing that and you see the silver lining, you see the positive aspect to an initially a negative seeming circumstance, then you're going to start building that belief within yourself. You're going to start getting used to that shift from, I don't see how this is good, to seeing how it's good. But you don't have to wait for circumstances to show up. You can use your imagination to like have a negative, remember a circumstance from your past perhaps, and see how that was of benefit to you down the road in retrospect, or whatever it is. But then once you get used to that vibrational shift of, it worked out so well. Oh my God. So for me, when I say it worked out so well, immediately I can start smiling, because it just taps me into the abundance and love of the universe, my higher self, and how everything actually is crafted to my liking, or to my benefit. And I remember those moments when it was clear. So when I'm not clear, I'm more tunnel vision. I'm pulled into my circumstance because they're screaming at me so loud and I can't seem to get any distance. Then I can use these kind of like shifter phrases that work for me. And so it might be it worked out so well. It might be something else for you. But I think that's what I want to say for now, and see if you have anything else to add to that.
Another shifted sentence you can just use, or it's not even a sentence, but just a feeling of, well, it's obviously worked out so far. We're still breathing, like even if the details seem to not have worked out, fact is we're still here, we're still breathing, we're still able to watch this live stream and to connect in this way. So obviously life has taken care of you up until this point, and you can just assume that life will continue to do so, and just see how you're supported in many different ways.
And just also as far as like scary circumstances that are scary and disempowering, to the degree like maybe you're talking about like if somebody is talking about an abusive relationship or something, another misconception sometimes I coach people with is they might think, well, I'm in a horrible situation, it's totally abusive, it's totally belittling, and I guess it doesn't feel good, so I guess my perspective about it's wrong, so I just need to stay in the same situation but just shift my perspective. There is something about, we all have preference as well. So if a situation's scary or disempowering, in one sense, the first step, so to speak, is to see like, okay, ultimately, this does not affect your existence. This does not affect who you are. They're just circumstances. Heck, worst case scenario, even if you die, you're just going to be like, oh my God, that was just a dream anyway. So on one level, you're all good no matter what. And then once you're like, that fight or flight's a little more separated from the experience, you can still send, okay, cool. And this is still not acceptable to me. This is not the type of relationship that I want in my life anymore. You know what? Oh my gosh, I'm getting tingles. Like, this perhaps is so that I can say no and choose a new whole paradigm of living. And this is a scenario where I can then make my own boundaries. And that might be super scary for you. But I want to say, if it's a scary or disempowering environment, sometimes it can be relevant to shift environments.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
So, ladies, I see your question. I just want to take a couple of pre-submitted questions. There are quite a lot that have come in, but a few of them I just want to go through pretty briefly because I feel they're relevant. So one question is how to cope with fear. So understand the only thing we really need to understand about fear is that fear is the same thing simply as excitement filtered through a belief in lack. So fear and excitement is actually the same energy, but excitement feels like an excitement when there is the trust in abundance and the trust of things always working out so well. And fear is that very same energy filtered through a belief in lack. So, for example, if you have the desire to go and experience something, if there's no resistance to that and a total trust in that unfolding perfectly, that will just feel exhilarating and exciting. And when you have a desire for something and then there's a projected lack belief onto that, that will feel like fear. So I think that kind of summarizes it.
Yeah.
And then question from Suzanne, from Sue. She says, okay, so this is, I think, is going to be applicable to a lot of people who are wanting to shift into a different life experience, even though the details might be different. She says, I would love to go for another career, so kids coaching with phyto and crystals and other home near water and forest. New boyfriend and travel as much as I can. Hopefully the boyfriend is not the current boyfriend, if you have one, is not watching this. But missing the how. Oh, this is another Suzanne. I was thinking this was my friend Sue, but this is another one. Cool, that makes sense. Yes, so she is missing the how. So yes, shifting into the oh my god, that worked out so well, just as a general baseline for your feeling state. And then she has the question, which steps to take to start helping kids and how to travel a lot without a lot of money. And so again, same, it's going to be the same answer for pretty much everything, to keep on following your excitement, because that is your higher self coaxing you in the direction of all of that that you want and that you dream of. So which steps to start to take is simply anything that lights you up, anything that feels inspiring. So could you, for example, Google and find out about other people who are doing similar things? Could you start Googling and finding out about other people who are traveling without money? I know that there are a ton of people who have blogs and projects about how to travel the world for years on end without pretty much any money, or just to live without any money, or just to travel. So I can just give you one example, is that there are farms all around the world where you can just travel there and you can work a few hours each day in the garden, and they give you food and a place to stay, and you get to meet lots of cool people, and then you get in touch with new people who know more people, and so it works out. So that's one very clear example. But you can always start doing research about this, and then notice what hooks you in, what pulls you, what draws you in and makes you want to explore more about that. And this can be applied to anything. If you want to completely shift your life into a new avenue, could you start doing research about other people who have done the same thing or a similar thing before you, and how did they do it? And is there something that you can bring into your life, and just keep on following the excitement? And Ryan is probably going to say that extract the feeling from what it is that you're wanting and just see if you can shift into that.
Very much.
And I'm talking on the level of action. On the level of action, just do whatever inspires you, see other people who've done the same thing, and just open up for that possibility. And by moving into that, circumstances, people, situations, random Facebook posts will start to show up in a way that brings you into the lived experience of that.
Yes, because you're moving into that possibility, you're moving into the energy of that possibility. Even by looking online and starting to search, you're starting to live into that possibility. So then you'll then attract more and more. And so again, though, I do need to say that the how is not the domain of your personality. The how something's going to happen is the domain of, say, in this analogy, your higher self. So your higher intelligence that's connected with all of life can see all these different people and connections, and the easiest way to have this happen for you. So one version of how, totally in relation to what she's saying, but one version of how is to use your imagination, to visualize what it's like having the life that you want, but feel it. Really get into the feeling state right here, right now. Don't wait for the circumstances to show up before you allow yourself to feel it. Circumstances are just imagination, or the thought of it anyway is just an imagination anyway. Feel it, get into that experience, and then when you're starting to live in that vibrational state, then again, doors will open. You're going to get an idea to talk to go look online, to do Google, and it's like in the right time, in the right place. You're starting to start living into that vibration as well. And then, yeah, I'll leave it at that. But use your imagination. It is so powerful.
And notice how life is supporting you already. I mean, just you being on this live stream and us being able to answer your question in this way is a part of you following that excitement. Had you not put out that question, we probably wouldn't have addressed it in this specific of a way. So just you showing up and actually putting out like, hey, this is my desire. How can life support this? And just stay in the open possibility of that question. This is one reflection of how life shows you that you're on the right track and that you are supported in this. So there's one question from Yvonne pre-submitted here. It's not really a question but it's just so cute, so I want to read it anyway. She says, how are you so awesome? Okay, that's not really a question. The truth is, I just really enjoy the way you both, but I have seen more of Ronja so far, live your life and share insights with others. I just feel like getting a lot of information and connection is the right thing for me to welcome a different vibration in life and overcome the pressure of anxiety. So I just love what you are doing and how you share it, and love to have more in my life. Listening for once would be a very powerful thing for me to do. Thanks, love, and looking forward. So thank you for that, Yvonne. And now the reason why I wanted to share this, apart from it being a very sweet sharing, is that also in times when we are feeling a bit down, when we're feeling a bit stuck, when we're feeling uninspired, that there's such an abundance on YouTube or on Facebook, online, or just anything we can tune into of inspiration. So one of the quickest ways to shift into a state of inspiration is to tune into somebody who inspires you, to watch a video or listen to a podcast or read a book written or created by someone who is holding that vibrational stance of possibilities, of empowerment. And so you can kind of surf the wave of their alignment in a way, and then your vibration will match up with the vibration of that inspiring person or that inspiring music, song, whatever it is for you. And you can allow yourself to actually be carried by that. And that is one beautiful example of how we're all connected and how we're all supporting each other in this adventure and growth and evolution and discovery in this life.
And so I'm going to offer to make a little list of what is it about Ronja that you like. No, seriously, like not like just when you're having your quiet time. What is it about Ronja that you like? What is it about her lifestyle that you like? What qualities do you see that you resonate with? Because we get inspired by people, we get lit up. You get lit up by people when we're seeing something. And I imagine you're seeing her differently than other people see her. Slightly, could be similar, but the slight nuances of what light you up, there could be a different set of qualities that light somebody else up. Because the qualities that light you up are very relevant for you and your theme, because that's it, it's you. And so I'm kind of going to give you the answer here in a way, but I want you to write the qualities that you like about Ronja. But then I want you to then write about yourself with those same qualities. Like remove Ronja's name and put your name in there.
Yeah.
And then like try that on. Steep into that. And that's the way of starting to be the person you want to be. Like imagine, be that magnificent self who's caring and giving and sharing insight and etc., whatever it is for you. And then you're going to start living into that space now. And then just enjoy how life unfolds from here.
Wonderful. So Suzanne is just saying that her question was answered. Thanks for the traveling idea. Action. Yes. See you on Lorelei again. I have been invited to come to teach at the Lorelei Festival, the Women's Festival in Holland, in August. I have not yet decided if I'm going to go, so maybe see you there. So I just want to highlight this comment that Steve is saying to Lisa. So Steve is actually my mother. So thanks, Mom. She says, Lisa, because this is such a beautiful example. She says, today I saw an interview with a man without arms and legs, and he said that all his life he has focused on what he has, not what he lacks. He once smiled at a stranger, and 19 years later, the stranger found him and told him that this had stopped him from committing suicide that day. Holy smokes. Yes, thank you for that example. So abundance and sharing and inspiration. It's all working out perfectly. So if we see somebody with something that we perceive like, oh my God, if I had no legs, I would be so miserable, and we say, what a pity and how terrible for that person, that might be that is the perfect experience every single time for them. So to not superimpose our own assumptions and lack beliefs onto other people and their journey. Very important. So many people are thanking her for that wonderful story. Was there anything you saw, or should we take this one, Ryan?
No, I'm good.
Let's see. You want to read it?
So from Catherine.
Mhm.
Hi. Hi, Catherine. How can I shift if I feel stuck feeling not so great in a relationship, which I keep carrying on with? I just work here by keeping happy in my work and following my joy and passion. Do you think the old will just fall away? Because though I think it might not be right for me, I feel unable to leave.
Interesting.
Go for it if you see.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm going to go for this one. Thank you, Catherine. This is a great question. Thank you for asking this. I think it's applicable to a lot of people as well. So feeling stuck, feeling not so great in a relationship which you keep on carrying on with. So first resort always is to check, in what way am I defining this relationship in a negative way? Because in a relationship, especially after a long time, it's very easy to get stuck into seeing what we don't like about the other person, to get stuck in a pattern of noticing the annoying things or the things that are not working, and not so much noticing the magnificence. One reason why in the beginning of a relationship things are so epically awesome very often is because both people are actively looking for the best in the other person, expecting to see magnificence show up. And very often people live up to our expectations of them. So just see how you can shift your perspective about your partner, start noticing the way in which they are showing up in loving and beautiful ways, and just noticing those little things. And whatever you focus on will expand. Whatever you shine the spotlight on will expand. We had the Sensual Yogini webinar last week on the same topic, and I shared the example, which I think is relevant here, that if you meet someone and you're just kind of having a neutral day, you're not feeling like super happy or super sad, you're just kind of feeling neutral, and that person says to you, wow, you look really tired, then instantly you start feeling more tired, you start feeling less glowing, and just start feeling like, yeah, maybe I do feel a bit tired. And conversely, if you meet someone and that person says, wow, you look so shiny and so radiant today, instantly, even if you're kind of in a neutral space, instantly within half a second probably, you start shining more, because they have pinpointed something in you, and they're shining a spotlight on that, which is causing that to arise within you in a more powerful way. And so if you're with a partner and you're in a relationship and you're saying, why do you always keep on doing this? You are fixing into your current circumstance and into your current reality something unwanted, and you are pinpointing that in a way that most likely will cause it to keep on showing up. So a shift in perspective should always be the first resort. Now, secondly, if you have cleared up your perspectives and you are like, no, this generally doesn't feel good, this genuinely is not my place to be right now, then that is definitely the time to shift out of the relationship and trust that in the same way that that person that you were with was a reflection of where you were at the time of meeting them, and maybe you've journeyed together, so you keep on reflecting each other. But when you shift into greater alignment and greater excitement for your life, then the next person you attract into your life will be a better match for you in this way. And so if you still feel yourself unable to leave the situation and the relationship, again, it usually comes down to a lack of belief. And so if I would make a kind of rough guess what that could be, it might be that you are afraid that if you leave, like, at least I have someone. If I leave this relationship, then I'm afraid that I'm going to be alone. And so we're afraid that if I leave this, I will be left with nothing, and I'll rather stay in a dysfunctional relationship than to be alone. And that perspective feels bad because it's not actually true. Because that is believing that there is a lack of potential partners, or there's a lack of love, or there's a lack of
Conscious
potential for,
guys.
there's a lack of conscious men. If you have the belief that there are not many conscious men out there, you're probably gonna hold on to your one semi-conscious guy, because at least you have someone. And looking at all the other people who are alone and lonely, at least you have someone. But that perspective feels crap because it's not true. The truth of the matter is, the law of attraction is called the law of attraction because it works every single time. So trusting your alignment, trusting that when you step into greater alignment in life, and greater joy and greater sense of gratitude and adventure and trust, then you'll automatically match up with someone who can actually meet you on that level every single time. And even if it involves being single for a while, then that will be the perfect learning experience. That there might be some more, again, from the higher self perspective. They'd be like, okay, cool, she's left the previous relationship, she still has some vibrational cleaning up to do before we can actually cue the amazing guy that has everything she could ever wish for. So trusting the unfolding of that.
Totally. Everything she just said. And redefine, like, being happy with the unknown.
Sorry.
Often we're scared of the unknown because we think it holds lack. But so check if that's one of your things. Well, I know this thing, and if I leave, I don't know what's possible. And if you just shift that, and that doesn't feel good, if you shift that into, oh my gosh, that means like anything's possible. Since I don't have like a set, I'm not like leaving this person and then going right into another person relationship. I might have to let go of something to like clear my bandwidth to then be able to receive something new. I have more space. But when you reorient to, I have no idea how something's going to work out, then it's like, nice. That means like anything's possible. Like it can, I'm not tunnel visioned in it showing up in a certain way. Yes. And so that's getting comfortable and becoming friends and actually getting excited about the unknown.
Yes. Trusting life, trusting life, trusting life.
Yeah.
Sarah says, that feels amazing, Ryan. A lady says, I'm living the situation that Ron is describing in your relationship. Yes. Lisa says, holy crap balls, that's definitely already started happening in my life. Feeling totally blessed and on the right path. Yes. And the other Lisa, I think, says, oh, I already have a list about Ronja.
Cool. Well, now shift the list and put your name in there.
Yes,
seriously.
Yes.
Like, seriously.
It takes one to know one. You couldn't see anything in me if that's not already in yourself as well.
And so this is what I want to say also, like, in our life, we're going to see things that excite us. And so it could be like, wow, that rock star over there, and then this author over here, and then this mom over here, and whatever. Like, different people are going to, wow, there's going to be qualities about them. So harvest the qualities. Well, what is it about that rock star? Do I actually want that whole package? Or should I, in order to be happy and like kind of like that, then I guess I have to be a rock star too? And that's when people get tunnel visioned. No, you probably don't want the whole package. So what is it about them you like? So extract that quality, extract the quality from the author that you like, extract the quality from the mom that you like, and then make this list and be like, oh, I'm excited about things because there's clues in different people and different things. I love that profession. I love what Ryan and Ronja are doing. That means I have to do the exact same thing. What are the qualities about what we're doing? Take the qualities out, but then you also like auto mechanics. How does that fit in? I don't know. What do you like about auto mechanics? It's the mechanical, like, intuitiveness. It's figuring things out in that way, making like structure, whatever. And so once you have that list, then you're going to find your flavor of whatever this is, your flavor of expression. And that's the gift that you have to offer to the world. That's like your own genius. So allow yourself to be inspired by people. Don't attach unnecessarily to that whole package. Extract the qualities that you like and then adapt them. Make those sentences, make those paragraphs about yourself in that way. And try that on. And you might have lack beliefs of like, ooh, I can't do that. I'm thinking too much of myself to think of myself on stage talking to 1,000 people. That's a really good lack belief to then uproot. So when you do these things, often you might have some negative definitions pop in, and that's a good thing, as opposed to like, man, I'm so hopeless. I have so many negative definitions. I'm never going to get there. Actually, like, oh my God, I'm feeling bad. I'm so excited. I'm feeling bad because this is showing me the unconscious things which are kind of keeping me from that. Because if I want to talk to 1,000 people, but then I have this underlying belief that if I do that, then my parents won't like me, or that then I can get criticized, and then these conflicting views. sometimes we can't uproot them until we get into the experience of actually living that. And instead of waiting for the circumstance to show up, live it right now in your freaking living room with your imagination.
Yes.
Is my offer.
Yes. And on the note of inspiration and imagination in regards to other people, when you notice these awesome qualities in other people, then what did she say?
I want an auto mechanics rip the body.
Awesome, cool. That's great. So hold on, let's just see if there's something else. I'm gonna come back in one moment. Just want to see if there's something else. Really listening to myself. Yes, rock star, exactly. So just want to give another example of how you can use being inspired by other people in a way to actually step into that yourself. Like, this is one of the ways that you can accelerate your own expansion and empowerment. So for example, if I take, because we're talking about this now, so Lisa or whoever said that, Yvonne as well, if you're looking at this interface here, this Ronja thing that we're calling Ronja Sebastian, and you're seeing, for example, like, oh wow, she has such an amazing life and she's traveling and she's sharing in these ways and how amazing. If you perceive that you could not do that, you're creating a separation, which is illusory, and it feels bad because it's out of alignment. So one really intelligent and wise and clever way to utilize this for your benefit is to see, like, okay, so what must she be believing about life that allows for her to have this amazing experience? For example, it seems like Ronja is trusting life in general, like all the time. Maybe as an inspiration, I'll try out what it's like to trust life no matter how things show up, and see if that is of my benefit. I know that Ronja has had a lot of challenges in her life and she still seems to be trusting life. Maybe I'll try out to trust life in spite of when circumstances are challenging, and see what happens. Oh, it seems like she's been traveling the world for many years, even before she had money to do it. Maybe I can start traveling even though at this moment it seems like I don't have the money, and just see how things show up. So you can utilize different things. Oh, it seems like she's following her joy and doing this in this way. Maybe I can do that. And through imagination, imagining what that would feel like, imagining looking at another person, anyone you find successful or inspiring or just lights you up in some way, looking at what must they be believing about life and about themselves and about other people that is allowing this kind of life experience, and is that something that I can bring in? And if there are lack beliefs that keep on showing up, or that show up, then you can see through that. So it seems like Ronja is really committed to keep on seeing through lack beliefs whenever they show up, and to not shy away from emotions. It seems like she's really committed to embracing the full spectrum of emotional experience. Can I keep on seeing through the lack beliefs and coming back to what's true? Can I allow the full spectrum of emotional experience without resistance? And so you can utilize that very clearly as an inspiration, and see how that more and more by doing that can become your lived experience. So that's just how to utilize that. Okay. Anything you want to add, Ryan? Let's go see if there are any more last questions.
No, yeah, I feel kind of complete. This has been awesome.
Let's see if there's anything here. Let's see if there's anything more to say about this. A lady is asking, I'd like your thoughts on this paradox. When in the emotional vortex, do we come to the light by committing and accepting to sadness and anger to cleanse the soul, or do we change our frequency as soon as possible? It's both. Very briefly. First of all, accepting whatever is there, and also being open for shifting into something that actually feels better. So moving up the emotional scale is something that Abraham talks about a lot in this. So first of all, not even trying to accept what you're feeling, but recognizing that it's already accepted by life, otherwise it wouldn't be here. And then tune into yourself and feel. You can ask different questions that might be like, okay, so what would feel inspiring for me right now? What would feel nourishing for me right now? What would make me feel more trusting or alive or joyous? So first of all, recognizing that it's already accepted, so releasing the resistance from that, and then either just letting it be there, it very well might just change by itself, or actively ask these questions that will bring you into greater alignment and joy and inspiration.
Because you might notice that you can start to tune into an awareness of like a simultaneity of experience. So you can feel sadness and anger, but then simultaneously you can feel okay. Again, it's how you're feeling about how you're feeling. And often we just clump it all together because an emotional state can be so loud. But so simultaneously you can accept and be with, wow, I'm feeling angry and contracted right now, and I'm totally triggered and hot. And simultaneously you can be okay with this situation. You can be like, wow, this I'm going to learn so much through this. And you can be in right alignment in a way with that experience. So then you're feeling good, but you're also feeling bad simultaneously. And so I just want to allow that possibility as well.
Yes. Thank you, Ray.
Yes.
So I just want to take a last look if there's anything. Lisa's saying Lisa and I are totally twin souls. Yes. Lisa from Holland and New Zealand, maybe you should meet. Maybe you should connect somehow. Let's see. I just on that note, because this kind of excited me to just say this, Lisa and Lisa, I don't think you actually can see each other's contact details, but I have both of your email addresses because you're registered. So if you want me to, I can put you in touch after this if you feel excited to get in touch. Just write yes in the chat if you like me to do that, and I will. Just playing some universal matchmaking thing here. Let's see. We've answered all of this, Caro says, traveling question, how do you deal with intense jet lag? When my body feels good, I can do anything. When I'm tired and in pain, it's super hard to follow my bliss. I found that connecting with nature really helps to really get out into the sunshine, because then your body adjusts to the geographical time zone location where you're at now. So getting into nature, getting into the ocean or into the sunlight, or placing your feet on the ground, that actually seems to have a huge effect on the physicality. Jet lag, if you need to go to sleep earlier or if you need to stay up longer, there's also like this brainwave music you can download where you're listening to music that puts your brain into delta sleep or theta relaxation or beta refresher. There's a lot you can look into that. So just Google brainwave music or binaural beats for jet lag. There's actually one by Kelly Howell named Relieve Jet Lag that I usually use when I'm in the plane, so to already sync up with the new time zone when I'm on my way there. Total side note, but maybe that's relevant for people. Amber asks, how can I get more trust in choosing what is right? By following the alignment and the excitement and trusting that, basically, right? I think we've answered pretty much everything. Yeah, I think we have. So Lisa and Lisa are looking forward to meeting each other. So lastly, we just want to say, so if you are in the Netherlands or if you're in Europe or if you are up for traveling from wherever you are in the world, Ryan and I have actually 2 weekends coming up in March. One is more officially announced and one is more unofficially announced, but the 25th to the 27th of March in the Netherlands in Utrecht, we are having a weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, about authentic relating, where empowered relationships and awakened consciousness meet. So this is open for men and women, and we will be exploring empowered living, but really with the focus on relationship, specifically perhaps in more like intimate circumstances. We'll be exploring things like authentic connection, effortless attraction, how to be completely fine even when you're feeling nervous, different dynamics of authenticity, of empowered vulnerability, of attraction, and how to create deep and meaningful and beautiful, expansive connections with the ones in your life that you desire, which can be applied in so many different ways.
Is very experiential. So where there's a lot of us sharing, and we're learning ideas, we're learning theories, we're learning context. In the workshop, we'll be doing some of that, but then a lot of it's very experiential with interacting, excuse me, with humans, because in our life we interact with humans, and so being able to notice how we relate, notice the little things that we do, and having venues to practice relaxing into that so we can access more while we're in connection and find the ways for deeper, richer a sweeter connection with ourselves as well as others. It'll be a lot of fun.
And experientially, you'll be learning some ninja relationship skills that will serve you for life, whether you are in a relationship right now, or you're happy single, or you want to attract a relationship, and who knows who you might meet there. Hint, hint. But if it's excited to come, then come and play with us there. So I'll just put a link. Let me see if I can just open that. I'll just put a link right here. Cool, you have it open already. That's awesome. So let me just copy this into the chat, and then you can check it out there, and we'll just send this out afterwards as well. But this is going to be just an amazing time. So we are on Hawaii right now, and then we're going to Maui for another retreat, and then we're coming together to the Netherlands to do this. And I also already see that some of you who are on this webinar are already signed up for it. So that's very, very exciting. We're super excited about that. And then the weekend before that, we're having a weekend for my women's year training, where we are bringing in men to do practices together with the women who are in the year training. So this is specifically if you're a man and you have experience of Tantra or circling or authentic relating, the Authentic Man program, or meditation or similar, then that is something that you could be invited to. And so that is more like a private invite. So if you want information about that, then just shoot us a message or contact me through ronja@ronjasebastian.com if you want to be personally invited for that. But that's basically how you can come in and just meet other people who jive and resonate on a similar frequency level, and just have the most beautiful and magical experiences. And so what we have said about it now is like a little slice on the surface of what will be experienced, because what I experience is always that there's a certain description for a workshop, but then the magic of what happens is really just co-created in the moment through the people. So if it excites you to come and hang out with people who are also on a path of conscious evolution, of authentic relating and creating a kick-ass life experience, then come and play with us. There might be more in the future, but this is like the only one that is planned now. So you can just check it out, and looking forward to seeing you there.
Beautiful. Come along. And I also want to just give a shout out to an amazing teacher and good friend, Bentinho Massaro. A lot of, if you're wanting to learn more of some of these manifestation principles, these perspectives about in a way how life works, and if you haven't heard about Bentinho, I just want to give him a shout out and recommend checking out his stuff. It's very informative in this regard.
Yeah, we'll be hanging out with him next week on Maui with a lot of cool people coming from all over the world. So that's very exciting too. And on that note, also Ryan is also giving personal coaching sessions. And so if you feel that this excites you and you would like to have more personal guidance, if there's something specific, maybe you're going through some challenges, maybe there's a pattern that keeps on repeating itself, or something that you would like some guidance on, then if you go to bentinhomassaro.com and click on sessions, then Ryan is the man who is giving the one-on-one sessions there, and he is amazing in terms of really helping people blast through whatever is in the way of their full expansion and empowered living. So I just want to put that out there, that he's available for Skype sessions.
And my email's on that page you just talked about.
So just go to bentinhomassaro.com and click on sessions. And if you want sessions with me, I don't do so much personal sessions. I do have some spaces open, but same thing there. You go to my website, ronjasebastian.com, and click on sessions, and then you can find it out there. But the biggest invitation here, if you're in Holland, or if you're in Europe, or if you're anywhere in the world and you feel excited to get on a plane or whatever mode of traveling you like, and come over and play with us, then we would be super excited to have you there. And currently, as we are speaking, let's see, tomorrow I think it is, I think depending on time zone, for us tomorrow, the 25th of February is the last day for the early bird price. So if you want to jump on board, it's not a huge difference, you can join at any time. But if you want to join the weekend and get the early bird price, then sign up before tomorrow. I think a bit of time zone confusion, but you can find it in the link that I posted there. There we go. So that's the invitation that we have for you for now, I think.
Nice. Hey, May. Thanks for the shout out.
Oh, yes. Definitely recommendation to get a Ryan session, says May. Yes, and May is coming to the retreat in Holland as well. So super warmly inviting you to come there. And feel free to invite your friends. So those of you who are already signed up for the weekend, feel free to invite your friends. So the retreat is filling up pretty quickly, and more people have signed up just today because it's getting close to the early bird and stuff. But please invite more of your friends to come and play with us. Looking forward to seeing you there or somewhere in the world. So we have had a lot of fun today in sharing this with you. Thank you so much for your very intelligent and wise questions and deep questions, because it is also through your asking that we have been able to answer in these questions in a more meaningful way that is more relevant for you. And what I've seen being echoed in the chat, and what I also just know to be true in general, is that when one person asks a question, then it is very often relevant to a lot of people. So thank you so much to all of you who asked the questions. And thank you for sticking around. And we will send out the replay. If it's not sent out automatically, we'll just go out and send out the replay. So if there is anything that you want to revisit or write down or anything like that, then you can watch that. And feel free also to send that to your friends and just watch how the ripple effects of love and awakening and empowerment can grow through the world like this. Anything you want to say in closing, Ryan?
It's just been beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are going to go out on a hike through the jungle and to a waterfall today. So following the excitement of that, wishing you a magnificent time. Lots of thank yous are happening in the chat. That's beautiful. Supported and guided. So much love here. Exactly. Thank you for making me smile. You're welcome. Wonderful. Lots of love to you all. Many blessings.
Bye.